AskReddit by Asket. What should you never do in the United States? Don't ever get a payday loan. Are these still legal in the States? I got stuck in the loop for nearly 2 years in my early 20s, and the only thing that saved my ass was that the laws on payday loans changed in Canada. Go to Times Square on New Year's. The experience is so not worth it. It's romanticized for some reason. Get out of the vehicle during a traffic stop. I did not know this. Here in Australia we are perfectly okay to get out of the vehicle unless the cop says otherwise. Once I rolled through a stop sign in front of my college dorm and had parked and was out of my car before the cop pulled up behind me and screamed for me to get back in the car. I hadn't seen him at all and the lights weren't on until I was already out of my car. He was so angry and was asking why I got out of my car. Don't get out of the car after police asks you to stop. My old chemistry professor made that mistake on holiday. They pulled a gun on him. Then his brother-in-law had to talk to the cops to let him out. I remember that too. Walk onto someone's property without permission or knowing the owner. It's cool in many places around the world to be able to go wandering through the countryside. It is not cool in the US. You might end up getting arrested, held at gunpoint, or shot at if you're really unlucky. I also want to add here that it is dangerous to go through folks' property, not just because they might purposely shoot at you, but also they might accidentally shoot at you, as a lot of people use their backyards as a range. Or they might have territorial animals. Never leave your sleeping infant child in a vehicle. This is fairly common in some places across the pond, but it is definitely not legal in the US. Call a mixed person colored. It doesn't mean the same thing as it does in Southeast Africa. Call any POC, especially black people, colored. Don't take pictures or record videos of strangers' children. I've had to warn many people coming over from Asia about this. Some have ignored me and it has led to screaming and threats. Genuinely curious, in other cultures, when might someone do this? If a cop pulls you over, don't get out of the car. Place your hands on the wheel and wait, they will come to you. Also, turn the vehicle's ignition off. Remove your sunglasses. Turn off the radio. Roll down your windows, particularly if they are tinted. Turn on the interior lights at night. And don't reach for anything in the vehicle without being asked to do so, and even then announcing your intentions. My rental paperwork? Yes, it's in the center console. Edit. By the way, all this and more I learned very early in my driving career from a great book called A Speeder's Guide to Avoiding Tickets by James M. Egan, a retired New York State Trooper. It also has other safety applications as well. All these things are designed to calm down Officer Neck Venus he's referred to in the book. The book seems to be out of print, but it's well worth the read if you can find it. Think that you can pee in an empty alley on your way home from the bars. A surprisingly large percentage of my European acquaintances have had a great experience of spending a few hours early morning hours in the drunk tank in various American cities, because it's really not that big of a deal in most of Europe. I'd add that it's illegal to consume alcohol in most public spaces, sidewalks, parks, in much of the US. Exceptions: New Orleans, beer wine in Denver parks. Try and bribe a police officer. Not just bribery. Apparently in some countries, if you get a ticket for something, you can actually pay the fine to the police officer on the spot. NFL kicker and Raiders legend Sebastian Janikowski was arrested and almost deported back to Poland for trying to bribe a police officer, until he convinced the court that he just thought that's how it legitimately works. Do not run or move fast and unpredictably when stopped by cops. Sorry, reading this as a non-American is so weird. It's like you're talking about what to do if you come across a bear. Don't underestimate the size of the US. Apparently some people think it can take only a couple hours to go to locations states away. It takes me an hour just to get to Costco lol. Don't try to cheat the IRS. They will fuck your life into oblivion. There are 3 things all wise men fear: the sea in a storm, a night with no moon, and a jilted IRS. Engage with someone acting like a crazy person on the road. They might shoot you. This is not exaggerated. I live in a really safe area and we have had a few horrible road rage shooting cases over the past few years. Don't illegally use a disabled person parking spot or pass a school bus with its stop sign out. Why do people pass school buses with the sign out? Like it's not a suggestion. You have to stop. It's clearly marked and everyone should know by the time they're driving age that you don't pass the bus. Go to Florida for the beaches and forget about the wildlife. Black bears, gatters, panthers, hogs, etc. You can just ask any random Florida man to see his pet alligator. We typically keep them handy for such an occasion. At least in Tennessee you should never say anything unkind about Dolly Parton. Thanks for the awards. I mean, you shouldn't in general. She's a lovely woman. Deleted. I agree. Our tea parties get rather involved what with all the firearms and cannons and such. Cut in line. I've been in countries, example, Spain, where lines queues are more of a vague suggestion of who goes first. This is not true if you cut in line in the US. Cutting in line in the US can literally lead to violence. Hey buddy, what's your problem? Cunt is considered a very vulgar word here that would be highly inappropriate to say casually. On the other hand, fanny in American English is a rather innocent slang word for someone's posterior. It's entirely appropriate to say get your fanny over here to the young child. As I understand it, if you said that to a child in the UK you might find yourself having a chat with law enforcement. Skip a chance to have some good and tasty smoked BBQ. Boom 100%. Say the N-word. I was overseas and a guy in a bar asked if people in the US disliked black people. But he did not say black people. I suggested that he not say that word in the future. I knew this guy who had come from Poland a few months prior, and kept saying it casually. I delicately brought it up. Turns out his English teacher in Poland taught him that was the regular word for black people. Don't assume because you visited Nick that defines the rest of the US. Don't talk to your wife about trying New York pizza in Arabic on a plane to New York. Or about buying a Porsche 911 while on a helicopter tour. Apparently getting out of your car during a traffic stop. Yeah, don't do that. Never fuck with Florida man. He will beat you with experience every time. Experience in what? And X200B. Yes. Do not trespass onto other people's land and don't engage in road rage. Both are higher stakes than you probably think. Don't get out of your car unless asked when stopped by the police. My Balkan friends all just hop out to talk to the cops when pulled over in that part of the world. If you did that in the US you'd probably get shot. My buddy came here from Sri Lanka about 2 years ago. He was pulled over late one night and immediately got out of the car to talk to the cop. The cop freaked out and pulled his gun out. I don't think he pointed it at him, but it sure as hell scared the shit out of him. Deleted. My dad went on a work trip to Europe and brought back Kinder eggs for me and my siblings. When coming through customs they were almost taken because they are banned in the US. He got to keep them because he told the agent they were for his adult children.